Oh, this works. All right, cool. We're good. Frustrating day. Frustrating today. Unusual because I've had a really, really good last few days. It's been very chilled. Man, I have found that today I've had a very short fuse. I've not been annoyed like this for a while. I wasn't going to do this. I was like, I just don't care. I just don't care about anything. I don't want to do anything. Um, but I was meant to do it yesterday. Got to do at least one a week. So I'm doing it even though I really don't want to. God, there's some stupid people. The quote that I want to talk about is Einstein's quote, and it's his definition for insanity. The definition for insanity was a person, or not even a person, because it can be an animal, I guess, and the way that most people are acting at the moment, not much better than animals in their thought process. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So, simple example of that. Oh, without going into too much of what we're doing, because I know YouTube likes censoring things, and that'll probably happen. And when you're trying to start a channel and grow a channel, getting censored from the get go probably isn't the way to go. All right. So I'm just so frustrated. I don't even know what to do with my example. Let's go for all right, washing. That's an easy one that you can relate to. So say I got white sheets on at the moment. If they get a stain on, they got a if it's whatever, maybe sheets on the let's go for a shirt. You're eating and you spill like some chocolate or some wine or something on a shirt, white shirt, and it stains there. And to get it out, you put it in cold water, you wash it for 5 minutes, and then you hang it out on the line. And then you let it dry and you look at it and the stain's still there. And you think, hmm, let's do it again. So you put it in the bucket, cold water, wash it for 5 minutes, hang it out on the line. Stain's still there. And you just keep going and keep going. If you saw someone doing that, you would think they are so stupid and ridiculously dumb that they haven't changed what they're doing. It would be absurd, right? But like, we've got these officials and these people telling us how to live our lives because for whatever reason they seem to know better. But they're doing the same stupid crap every single time, and they have throughout history, and it keeps happening. And for whatever reason, I don't even blame them anymore because they've only got the power that the people give them. People keep thinking that they're doing the best thing. Like if they were doing the best thing for let's say money, right? If they were handling the country's money and finances the best, then why is the country still in debt? Because we didn't start with debt and now we're in more debt than previous and we're losing money each year. That doesn't seem like good financial. That would be like, if you go to your job or your paycheck, and one of the big problems is most people live like this. You get paid $1,000 a week, but you spend $1,200 a week. At the end of the year, you're going to have had to borrow money to pay for that. But if you keep doing that year after year, it doesn't work. You end up losing. It's not the way to go. And then you look at it for health. If the government was so amazing about it, do you remember they used to put out advertisements saying that cigarettes were good for you? Science has proven that cigarettes are healthy. Smoking is healthy. This is in the 50s. You can go back and have a look at what the government said was good for you. And people believed them black and blue. I don't know how you can have an organization make so many mistakes so often, over and over and over and over again, and still have so many people think they're doing the right thing. It is baffling, absolutely baffling. And that's, man, it's a hard thing to work out. It is a difficult thing, and I don't even know where to start. I don't know right now because I'm just annoyed. I'm just really frustrated at people's stupidity. There's just, God, so many dumb people. So many dumb people. And I don't understand. Like 18 months ago, they had this grand plan. And honestly, back then, I agree with the approach. I think shutting things down, closing business, all that, because you don't know how bad this thing was going to be. It made sense. But it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're 18 months along, and we're in worse lockdowns now than what they had at the start. Why do people still think they're doing the right thing? And then you got a bunch of people standing up and having a rally and protesting, which is a human right. That is a human right. And now they're being branded as selfish and blamed for this extended lockdown. They're not making the decision. They're standing up for their freedoms and their rights. These are people that have lost businesses. These are people that are suffering from mental health. And rather than sitting at home and saying, oh, yeah, sweet, I'm just going to cop this, they get out and actually do something. God forbid, what a concept. Going out and doing something. Like, far out. Oh, man. I think the analogy I go to is, you know how they train elephants for circuses? They get like a baby elephant and they put a stake in the ground and they tie a chain to the stake and then the elephant's leg. And the elephant try and get away, try and get away, try and get away. And it's just not able to. And so what it learns, and I think this must be what's happening. I don't know if people just learn this through school, and I just said screw it to authority and decided to think for myself. I don't know. I don't understand what the difference is, and that's the thing that probably frustrates me the most. I don't know why what I'm seeing is so bloody obvious, and it's just not. It doesn't seem to be getting through for whatever reason. I don't get it. I don't understand. So this elephant, right, stake in the ground, chain tied to his foot, little baby elephant. So it'll try as hard as it can to get away, but it's not able to move because you've got this stake in the ground and this little baby elephant tied to the chain. So every time that elephant tries to get away, it learns that it's not able to. And then even though you've got this massive grown elephant later on, they don't even tie it with a chain anymore. They tie it with a rope. And this thing isn't in the ground. This is just a pole just sitting there. That's how they train them because they've developed this belief system in the animal. Okay, this is my capability. It doesn't even try to get away anymore. It doesn't try to get it doesn't try to break the rope. It doesn't try to break the stick. It doesn't try to do anything. But it would shred it. Yet it doesn't because it's trained into helplessness. And when you've got a government talking about UBI, universal basic income, constantly spewing out stimulus, even though they're the reason that you're not able to work, that you've lost your job, that you've lost your business, all these things that happen, they are the reason and they have told you you're not allowed to operate. Otherwise, you'll be fined and all these other things. So they're using all these threats. Oh, but they're the good guy because they're giving you money so that you can have your little snippets and your pennies and your tiny little rations of food and all that sort of crap. Like, come on, man. What world is this? This is just insane. That is communism. That is Marxism. Australia is a communist country. Nothing, well, maybe not nothing, all right. The fact that we actually could go out and do that, I wasn't there. I wish I was, though, now, especially with some of these moron comments that I'm getting from people. these people going out and standing up for their beliefs, that's something that can happen in a democratic country. The coolest thing is that it showed very clearly the people have the power because the cops were overwhelmed, and they will continue to be overwhelmed because there are so many more people just constantly saying, look, what's happening isn't okay. So we're not full-blown communists, but we're pretty bloody close. The manipulation in the financial markets here is just insane. The more I've learned about that, the crazier it's been. But we are not far off a full-blown communist country. We're really not. It's this is not. Yeah, I'm really. God, Australia is just crazy. I lived in China for a couple of years, and I genuinely felt more freedom in that country than I have ever felt in this country. And China's not communist. When they tried to be pure communist, their country was failing. They had to embrace capitalism to thrive. The reason that country thrives is because of capitalism, not communism. Yeah, it's just what we're doing is insanity. It is absolute insanity, and I hope to God that at some point these politicians are held to trial for what they're doing, because it's genocide by definition. This coercion under false pretense, this psychological warfare that they're going through it's despicable. It really is. And I hope more people continue to stand up, continue to wake up, and see what's going on. And my God, if you start blaming the people around you that have different beliefs to you, and I'm frustrated because I'm looking, and this is not the way to think. It's because I'm frustrated that I'm thinking about this, and I know that. But thinking that all these people are stupid and dumb because they do not see what's going on is not okay. And that's where I'm at the moment because I'm very frustrated. And I recognize that. I don't know why it's all built up today. I've been pretty awesome, really, throughout this whole thing. But today I'm frustrated. I know I've got a very short fuse at the moment. I feel like erupting. But to condemn an entire group of people because they believe something different to you is not okay. To condemn an entire group of people because they take different actions to you is not okay. It's not okay. So me saying that all these people are stupid because they don't see what I'm saying, that's not okay. And I recognize that. Also, I understand that I'm just frustrated. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm not calling you stupid if you don't believe or see what I do. I don't expect you to because I know what I've been through to get to this point, and it's not something that I would wish on many people. It's not the most enjoyable process. But look, far out. Like blaming people around you doesn't work. And you've got to understand the manipulation in the media is next level. They are using insanely good psychological techniques. It's the same playbook that the Nazis used during the Holocaust and in the lead up to the Holocaust. It is the exact same playbook. The principles behind it are exactly the same. I said Holocaust, so this video's gone. No one's probably going to see it. But the principles that they are using for this entire thing is exactly the same as what the Nazis used in the Holocaust. And if you don't believe me, go and research it. Have a look at what they sent through the media. Have a look at what they drilled into people. Have a look at the repetition that they used, the language, the propaganda, the control over the narrative and the story. Man, it's just it's insane, absolutely insane. Hey, funnily enough, we've got an Einstein quote. I have no special talent. I'm only passionately curious. And man, I am so curious as to how the human mind works and why people form their beliefs and hang on to them and are so unwilling to change. and I believe that I understand the answers. But man, if this whole thing is a depopulation thing, in 2 years' time, it's going to be very easy to communicate because most people are going to be dead. And the only people that are left are the ones that were awake. Um, I'm not for that. But if that is the agenda, I'm genuinely at a point where if you've got these few rich people pulling strings of everything across the world and the governments are just puppets, which they are, they're absolute muppets. Who would ever have those people as leaders? Look at Joe Biden, what a fossil. As if he's a bloody leader. Seriously. If that is the agenda and they're trying to wipe out however many people, um, the ones left, like, geez, it's going to flow very easily because all the Muppets are going to be the ones shooting this stuff up the arm. And hey, if they're the ones that are alive and I'm the one that's dead, cool, sweet, I was wrong. No dramas. But I think history backs me because we've survived for thousands and thousands of years on the back of ourselves and our own immune system. The other stuff, especially the stats that I'm looking at, it's killing a lot of people. A lot of people. And it's still very short term at the moment. Another 18 months. 2023, I don't expect to be able to travel until about 2024. But 2023, I would expect looks very, very different to what it is now. Very, very different. You can learn a lot about yourself by paying attention to what you're curious about. Medicine, art, coding, vlogging, robotics, or anything else. Write all the things you're curious about. Oh boy. Picture of a brain and some arrows. So what are you curious about? For me, I'm curious about health and I like learning about it. Not as much now because I feel like I've got the basics and I'm in control of mine. So I don't dive into learning tons more. Doesn't light me up. Finances I love learning about, and that's something that I love learning more and more about because it's very complicated, it's very intricate, and I find it interesting. I like money. I think the way to make the change, if you want to make change in the world, money's a very important step in being able to do that. So I like learning about finances and money and how it works. Emotions. You would have seen a few through this video if you've watched it, although no one probably will because of the things I've mentioned, but I don't even care. Emotions are the ball game. They really are because the entire man and this whole compassion thing, having compassion, I feel like I'm out of it. To be honest, I feel like I'm worn out on this specific situation that we're in. But emotions are the game because someone who can control their emotions cannot be manipulated. And that is one of the scariest things for these people in control. And that's why these people that were standing up and protesting are very, very scary for the government. And that's why they underreported the number by over 90%. They said in Sydney there was only 3,000 people. There was 40,000 at least. At least. Across the country, there was 250,000 people, which is very impressive for this country. And it's going to get bigger because more people are talking. More people are having personal experience of either injuries, adverse reactions, or death, or experiencing these false reports in the media that are coming out. And there's all this information going through the back channels that people are seeing. And they're like, something's not adding up. It's been a long time. If they were doing the right thing, surely we'd be in a different situation. So you start questioning things, right? But if you're in control of the emotion, if you're in a place of fear, which most people are, then it's very easy to be manipulated. I had a really interesting experience today, actually, because I choose not to wear masks anywhere because I think they're a joke, me personally. But again, other people want to wear them. Cool. I'll look at them. I'll think they're not the most intelligent people in the world. But I also understand that they're probably more scared than anything else. And I get that. I know what it's like to be very scared like that. I just have made a decision to not accept that in my life. It's interesting. I didn't actually realize that. Yeah, but I was in the shops and I'm doing my show. Everyone else is masked up. There's like three people in the shops, right? There's bloody Westfield, and the cops are in there. And the cop came into the shop, and I'm lining up to check out and take all my stuff. And I got this panicky feeling, and I was like, "Why are you scared? You know all the laws that you need to quote. You know that you're in the right. You're scared because you're not wearing a muzzle. What the hell?" It was, and I got curious about the emotion rather than bowing to it. I mean, like, I was in line and I was asking myself those questions, and I was having. It was nice, like it's nice not wearing. You see everyone wearing a mask, man. No one talks, no one has conversations. But I have conversations with everyone, so I'm talking to all the checkout people, talking to people in the line. I'm talking to this, and everyone's friendly, everyone's nice. Um, and the cop came in, and then I walked out, and all his mates were out there, and like I said, I wasn't wearing it. I just walked past them. But it was, man, I couldn't help but ask, why are you scared? You know that it's not legal what they're doing. And I do, like, I know the laws. You go to the Privacy Act, the Biosecurities Act, and you just run through them, whether it comes to checking in, whether it comes to wearing a mask. They're against it. If you say you've got an exemption, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. No one's allowed to question that. They're not even allowed to question it in court because it steps over client, patient, doctor, patient, whatever it's called, confidentiality. You're not allowed to ask someone that, and if you do, you're liable for 5 years imprisonment and a $60,000 fine. And I know this, and I've got the law. I've got it on my phone. I usually carry hard copies with me, and I was nervous, and it shocked me. I didn't understand why. It's an intriguing thing. It's a very strange thing, this whole thing. But emotions, I'm curious about emotions, and I do it to myself. So getting scared is normal, and like being frustrated, being angry, that's okay. Everyone's going through that. The thing that probably scares me the most is I understand how much like I know way more than most people do when it comes to emotions, emotional management, how to handle them, diving into them, all these sorts of things. Like 99% of the population knows nothing. 1% of the population knows something, and 0.001% know like a decent amount. And I'm probably close to the getting into the smaller part of that percentile, and mainly because I practice it fairly regularly. May have been a little bit laxed recently, which is probably lead up to this flare up. But man, um, if you're not in control of your emotions, game over. You're so easy to be controlled. You're no better than a dog. Like, how do you get a dog's attention? Dangle some food. Sit, roll over, lie down. No, I love my dog. I love my dog, and he's smart dog. Like he showed me on the weekend, he can problem solve. He can see things and work out solutions. Um, it's really cool. I love my dog, but he's still a dog. He's an animal. He's dumb, and comparatively to humans, well, most humans, um, might be smart compared to some. Jeez, I've had some interesting conversations. Um, but like if you lock a dog up and tell it to shut up and give it a few treats along the way, it'll do it. Put a muzzle on it and take it for a walk, or force the muzzle on it. Because if it doesn't wear a muzzle, you're gonna beat it. Or this is gonna like I just feel like everyone's been turned into dogs. Everyone's been animalized. It's annoying. It's frustrating. I don't know the answer at the moment. I don't know the answer, but yeah, shit. I don't know how much more of this I can do. There's got to be a change at some point because this is just it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So I had this thought before I came in and did this. Whenever I'm getting really frustrated and really annoyed about this, first thing is really important is you actually feel it. When you're feeling any emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, you have to feel it. You've got to express it. So I'm really angry at the moment, so I don't mind being pissed off and doing this. And I already know no one's going to watch it, but I'm okay doing this because this is an outlet for me, and this is making me feel better. So I'm all right with it. Because I'm actually expressing, I'm talking about why I'm pissed off, and I'm identifying those things. So rather than just suppressing the emotion and doing nothing with it, I'm actually allowing myself to feel it. And that's an important thing, I believe. For any emotion, you have to feel it. You have to express it. Because otherwise, it's like dirt under a mat. It's like you can sweep it under the mat, but the dirt's still there. And if you don't clean it, that dirt's going to attract bugs, and those bugs are going to attract bigger bugs. And those bigger bugs are going to start to attract mice and rats and then snakes, and then it just turns into something really bad. You have to express the emotions that you're feeling. Ideally in a constructive manner. Going and buying toilet paper en masse, not so constructive. Doing it in a constructive way is important. Lashing out at other people, which I've already done today. I just haven't had the patience. And it's again, like, I'm not excusing my behaviour. I don't agree with the behaviour, but I know that's not me. It's just a few poor short-term decisions, and not ideal, but it happens. You have to feel the emotion. The problem with that is you don't want to live there, because if you get in the practice of feeling something like anger or frustration, and get very bogged down and fixed in it for quite a while, and it doesn't tend to end well. So how do you get around that and start cultivating things that you actually want? And gratitude's the first one. And writing it down is massive. Talking about it's good, but writing it down is huge. Which is, so I'll be starting this again tomorrow, because this is, and it'll happen quicker for me because I know I've wired this already. But finding things that you're grateful for in your life and genuinely grateful for, and going into detail. So I look at this now, and look, I can say about 50 things at the moment. I could say my computer, I'm grateful that it's lasted this long, and honestly, it's living off the charger at the moment. It is near dead. I need to remove everything from it, put it on these amazing little SD cards that hold 256 gigs. How amazing, something this small, holding all this information. So I'm grateful for them too. But it allows me to still function with this computer and work it and create these videos and this content that I'm doing. And that's a really cool thing that I'm actually enjoying, and I'm excited about where that's going to go. That's something that I'm grateful for. And the way that I talked about that there, I'm genuinely appreciative for those things. You don't have to go into that much detail. I mean, it could be something simple. I'm grateful I've got a hand on here, on this arm, so that I can scratch this side without having to get stuck trying to scratch with just one arm. Like, so simple like that. Because having an itch and not being able to scratch it sucks. But if you can scratch it, it's all good. There you go. I'm a fucking chimp now. But going into a bit of detail about things that you're grateful for starts to switch that mindset. And then, super importantly, you have to have a vision for what you want your life to be. I think the struggle that has been for me, and probably is cropping up a little bit now, is when you feel like that vision's disappearing or being taken away. And that's never true, because whenever you set a vision, you set these goals, most of the time it'll happen in a way that you don't plan and you don't expect. Doesn't mean you don't plan. Planning is very important. But most of the time it's going to happen in a way that you don't expect. And so when shit like this happens and it's like, what the crap is going on? And you get frustrated and you get annoyed. One of the quotes I like reverting back to, and I've got to thank one of my best coaches, Alonso, for this. Although I understand his frustrations with me at a point, because I get it. Like, I've coached people, and I get the frustration being the coach and having the students, and yeah. But he was just a coach, nothing more. And I like that distinction now. I think that's an important one to have. It was a professional relationship, and I probably looked at it like maybe there was more of a connection. He was more of a mentor or a father figure, but it wasn't. And I get that, having had that position now. But the quote was, "Within every adversity lies the seed of equal or greater opportunity." So it's a Napoleon Hill quote from the book Think and Grow Rich, which, if you haven't read it and you're watching here, I don't expect that anyone will ever watch to this point. But if you do, you may as well go and read that book and do what it says, because you'll become richer, not just in monetary terms, but in whatever aspect that you really want to apply those rules to, than you can probably possibly imagine. It's very powerful book, but it's a capitalism book. It's not a communist book. So for a lot of people in Australia now, because of how we're being trained to be socialist and communist and Marxist, they'd probably look at it and not really get it, and not really understand that all this work's involved in this stuff. But there's another bloody tangent on tangent. Whenever things go really bad or feel really bad, there's an opportunity for something greater in positive terms than the negative stuff that's happening here. So an example of that for me would be, Jesus, I've got a lot. I'll use mum because it's an easy one. So my mum got really sick with Alzheimer's, and she started to sort of pass away, forget me, and different things when I was about 13, and it just progressively got worse. And by the time I was 17, I just thought my mum didn't care about me anymore or want to have anything to do with me. And really, what was going on, I was just petrified that I wasn't good enough for my mum. Because what sort of child wouldn't have their mother's love anymore? It, and that was the one I didn't want to face up to. That was a few layers deep, right? So, bit of self work, and I got to that one. But going through that, which was at the time by far the most painful thing I'd ever been through, and like, Jesus, that was tough. That was so difficult. That was so tough to watch my mum slowly be eaten away by this disease, and she's still not dead. She's an absolute shell living in a nursing home. Fuck knows why she hasn't moved on yet, but it's the slowest, most cruel form of torture that nature could devise. It is an incredible disease with a level of cruelty that I would not wish that on anyone. No one, no person, no family to watch their loved ones go through it, because it is disgusting. But out of that, I got an understanding that Alzheimer's is completely reversible, and completely preventable. Reversible to a point, right? Although, I mean, to be honest, if I had mum now, I'd still be trying to reverse it. Whether it worked or not, I don't know. But I'd be doing what I could. I think the mind's still there. You've got a chance, and it can. There's been some pretty amazing recoveries, but we don't even have a say. Like, I'm not allowed to look after my mum or care for any of that. That was taken out of our hands, which was awesome. But that was sarcasm, by the way. It was pretty shit. The the thing that I got out of that was this respect for health, and I used to want to be dead. When mum was going through this, and before I learned about health, and watching dad and him get older and not be able to do certain things, I was like, my goal was to be dead before I was 60. And if I ever had any inkling of Alzheimer's or any mental illness, I'd kill myself in an instant. And that was something I decided when I was about 15, 16. Um, and it was very firm in me until I was about 22, 23. And it was really hard for me to change that, because that was a strong belief. It was belief that, oh, this stuff just comes with age. It just happens as you get older. And it's not true. These things don't just happen as you get older. They happen as a result of a way of life. And if you live life in a certain way, those things don't happen. If you live life in other ways, then they will. Or they're likely to. The probabilities are higher, right? Because there are no certainties. There are absolutely no certainties. And I'll take this from George Gammon, there are probabilities. And you can live your life in a way that means the probability of being healthy, having longevity, living a long life, being happy, emotionally sound and grounded is higher. You can live your life in a way that the probability of being sick, having poor health, poor mobility, um, poor emotional health, poor relationships. There's different choices you can make to get those results, but they're all choices. And when I understood that it was a choice, and then for my mum, these weren't choices that she was making consciously. These were things that she just didn't know, and it was very frustrating to find out that that was a choice, but incredibly liberating as well. Because frustrating because I know if I was looking after mum, we could have made different choices, even 10, 15 years in, to reverse the process, and we would have actually got our mum back, and we'd have a mum now. My nieces would have a grandma, and instead we don't. We've got a shell in a nursing home that we're not allowed to see. But you can sit there and bitch and whinge about the problem, or you can look at it and make a decision to do something about it. And while I'm not able to do something about that decision, that's out of my control, and I accept that. I'm able to do something to make sure that, one, that never happens to me, and two, my kids and my family will never go through the pain of watching someone they love go through a disease like that. Never. And that is a gift. Having that knowledge and understanding is a gift. And that knowledge and understanding only comes through immense pain. And of the hundreds, thousands now of people that I've talked to and taught and attempted to get that message across, I don't even know if anyone have got it, because they haven't been through the pain and the learnings that I've been through. And I hope they never will. But then part of me is also like, well, shit, that pain and learning, and that's almost a prerequisite for the knowledge, and the understanding. I don't know, man. I don't know. But that gift that my mum has basically given me the skills and the tools, or the catalyst to learn the skills and the tools, so that I'm going to comfortably be able to live till I'm 100, and I'm going to be in brilliant shape when I'm 100 because I know the tools. I'm going to be in better. One of my goals now, rather than being like, oh, I want to be dead before I'm 60, one of my goals now is to be in better shape when I'm 70 than what I am when I'm 30. That's like my goal. When I'm 70, I expect to be strong. I expect to be weightlifting like a fucking champion. I expect to be fit. I expect to be ripped. I expect to be shredded. I expect to have good skin, healthy hair, like all these sorts of things. I expect to be in amazing health when I'm 70 because I plan on living till I'm 120 or more. And to be able to do that when I'm 70, I've got to be in pretty bloody good shape. When I'm 80, I do as well. Once I tip over 100, then I'll probably be a little bit more laxed. But that's just a preparation. And something might happen in the meantime. Car crash, plane crash, motorbike crash. I like pushing limits. Fall off a horse and playing polo now. Like die by eaten by a shark or by a tiger or something stupid that I'll probably find myself in. By a bear. Like I don't know. The things that I like doing, but I plan on when I die, I want it to be an exciting story. I don't want it to be a boring one. But the all those things that I will get to experience, I never would have got if it wasn't for mum going through what she did and the learnings that I chose to take from that. You have to choose to look for the lesson. So, what I would ask myself now is we're in this really shitty, frustrating situation of lockdowns, of this push towards communism and centralization. It makes me crystal bloody clear that I will never live in a communist country. Never. So as soon as I can leave Australia, you know what's happening. I'm gone. I'm moving to a country that hates communism, that hates it, that is all about freedom, that is all about liberty, that is all about capitalism, and that supports that. Finding those countries might be a little bit tougher. Probably end up somewhere in Africa, to be honest, because Southeast Asia's got a few, but there's a lot of communism in there, and China's got a strong influence. So, but yeah, I think it also makes me really clear on I would never try and manipulate people in this way because I hate what has been done so much. I would never deprive someone of individual choice because if someone wants to take a vaccine, go and do it. If someone doesn't want to, don't. If someone wants to have government payouts and live off that, do it. I don't want to live in a country where the government does that. And I think it's one of the worst things in the world. But if someone chooses to live that way, cool, go and do it. I think everyone deserves, if you want to operate your business, do it. If you want to lock yourself in your house because you think that's the way to go, do it. It's, I think everyone deserves to have the individual choice. And centralization of government, the bigger government is, Marxism, communism, whatever you want to call it, socialism, they're all about this centralized point of control. They're not about freedom. They're not about liberty. They're not about the individual chasing, creating a dream lifestyle and wealth and business. And it's the complete opposite to capitalism. And I am full-blown capitalist. I love the concept. I love the idea of a free market. And I guess this is just making me really clear on that. I'm probably the other thing with seeds take a little while to grow. So even if there is a really big shitty thing happening like this, you might not see the fruits of it for 5 years even. Like a lot of stuff with my old man and decisions that he made financially really affected me because I hated seeing how hard my dad worked when I was young to see him grow up and not really have a lot. Like That sucks. I'm so excited for the day that I can just give him a credit card and say, "Boom, go do what you want. It's covered. Business will cover it." Um, because like for all his sacrifices and everything that he did, he's happy now. He's happy now, but I want him to be able to have whatever he wants because I think that what he did in his life deserves that. And he set an amazing example of what a man is and what it is to be a provider. And I'm making decisions financially that mean that I'm never going to have those issues that he's having now, um, because of the it's pain that I felt. I don't even know if he felt it, but I felt it. It's like, man, there was so much more you could have done and had and been if it weren't. All you needed was just a few different habits. That's all it is. It's really not that hard. And as a result, Jesus, it's funny. I saw this come up. It's only 3 years um, that this has taken, which scares me a little how quickly this has gone. But as a result of watching my dad go through that, and we weren't talking for years, really, we were on very bad terms because I was constantly trying to change him and force him to be something that he's just not. Now I just accept him for who he is. It's so easy. Um, Fuck, maybe I just need to take that approach with everyone or everything. But we work, like our relationship functions. He wants to do his thing, I'm doing mine, and we both accept each other for who we are and where we're at. And we have an amazing relationship now. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best relationships I've ever had with the old man. Which blows my mind to think of what we like our relationship a year ago. We weren't even talking. Um, like man, it's crazy. Crazy, and I treasure that enormously. I think it's really cool to have that. But again, that was a choice. They're all choices, and I'm really excited for the day that I can really give back to him and create some really solid things for him, which would be really nice, really nice. Um, yeah, mm, I don't know. Whatever the shit is that you're going through, feel it, express it. Um, Whatever it is, just get it out. And understand that there's going to be a gift in it somewhere. And seeds take time to grow. So, such as life, you have to be patient. You've got to wait and just focus on what you can control. If you don't notice, I'm purely talking to myself now. Focus on what you can control that as best you can, and keep plugging forward. That's all you can really do. Anyway, started off a lot more ranty. I do feel better. I'm exhausted, so I'm probably going to go have a sleep. But down with communism, capitalism rules. Everyone should have the choice to live however they want and not be condemned for it. If they are condemned, shut the fuck up. Everyone gets an opinion. They're no better than assholes. Everyone's got one. It's just some people like sharing their completely irrelevant opinions more than others. And if you're one of those people, know that no one cares and your opinion means shit. That's to me as well. Most of the time, my opinion means shit. So, yeah. So, yeah.